What can women entrepreneurs and startups do to increase their chances in sourcing venture? And you've sort of covered a lot of that in the last question. Is there anything else that you'd hasten to add in particular for women?
I think women tend not to be as assertive as men sometimes, and maybe as, I'm trying to think of the word. I think women are more loath to seek out help along the way.
Yes.
So I do think that women could be much more proactive in leveraging their network.
Okay.
So I think if they call people and ask for help, or ask for the opportunity to run an idea past someone who understands the sector, I think people will want to do that more than women think they will.
Okay.
So we sort of tend to, I think it's probably part of our behaviour is just get on and do something, and I do think women can really gain a lot from looking out and bringing people into their sort of company's ecosystem who will help them.
Yes.
And I think that they will find a lot of people willing to do that.
Okay. And I have heard that women often have a problem asking for money, which of course is a huge problem in the venture capital world, because that's what you're basically having to do.
Yeah.
So that really lines up with what you've just said, that for some reason we feel like we've just got to shuffle on alone, or do what we can. So it's a change in consciousness really for women, isn't it?
It is. I think women are more loath to talk about money. They're certainly more loath to promote themselves, but there are ways to do it that you can feel comfortable with.
Yes.
I think if you take all the steps and you realise that you have a great business, then you feel much more comfortable saying, you know, this is my business opportunity here. This is a team I have.
Yes.
This is this market opportunity here. Look at this defensibility that I have with this plan.
Yes.
And in order to achieve this, I need this investment, and this is how I'll deploy these funds, and this is what it will achieve over time. So talk about the raising money as part of, you know, the business plan, and so you're not just saying, you know, just asking for money.
It's not like a handout.
No, it's not like a handout. You know, it's sort of, this is what I need to achieve this plan, and you can feel more comfortable with it, because, and certainly in most presentations, you know, if the presentation is going well, the VC will say, so how much money do you need? So they will ask the question for you.
Yes.
And you can put it on a slide, so you can, you know, not, you know, so it's there. You don't have to feel so embarrassed about that. But, you know, VCs know that if you're coming to them, you're asking them for money, essentially. You're asking for an investment. So you shouldn't feel embarrassed by that at all.
And that's really practical advice. I appreciate that. Thank you. What sort of challenges do women face if they become a venture capitalist? Obviously, you know, you may have faced those over the years.
Well, you know, venture capital is it's an interesting career for women in many ways. So there are hugely attractive things about being a venture capitalist, and you know, it's a very exciting career in many ways, because you're right at the forefront of technology. You're working with lots of different companies. You know, if you have any curiosity about you, it's amazing, because you can be looking at very different and exciting deals. You're working with many different people. You know, there's just a lot of excitement about it. But in the venture capital industry itself, it's a little less team-centric than if you have been in an operating environment. So as partners, we do work closely together, particularly on Mondays when we have our partner meetings. And so you're working as part of a firm, but you also have an individual franchise. So you have to feel very comfortable about working on your own. And so you have to be very comfortable going out and seeking new opportunities. You have to be very comfortable networking. I think the people who make good venture capitalists, and they have to make decisions about investing money, have a lot of confidence, often a lot of ego. And I think women tend to be more comfortable working as a team, but you have to be comfortable stepping up, stepping out of that, and being yourself as well. So you have to really have to have built a great deal of confidence along the way, I think. And because it's not as collaborative. Even with other VCs, you syndicate deals, but you also compete. So it's not as collaborative as being in an operating environment.
Got it. And I was interviewing a woman venture capitalist the other day who mentioned for the first time that I'd heard that venture capitalists need to be very persuasive.
Yes.
Because when they take a company on board, and if things get rough and they can't actually, shut the business down or whatever, but they have to be good with people enough that they can actually persuade the entrepreneur to go in the direction that they see is the right direction. Would you agree with that? Do you think that's a quality?
I think you do have to be persuasive, actually. I think you do have to be able to, in a considered way, get your point of view across. And often you're on a board with a collection of people that might not necessarily have your point of view either, and of course you have the CEO as well, so you do have to be able to get your point of view across. But women are great at that. Some of the best salespeople in the world are women, so I think that's something that women are great at. So one thing I would say for women who come into venture capital that really is important is be good at something. Now that sounds an obvious thing to say, but know a sector well for something. Know a sector well, for example, so you can be an expert in mobile or wireless or internet. Really understand a sector well, or have a functional expertise. Because I think if you go into a meeting, or if you're part of a firm, or if you're looking to win an investment opportunity in a company, having that area of expertise really helps. And then you're known for what you are good at. You're known for what you can do. You're known for that value add. You're known for that expertise. And it's not about being a woman, so people just know you for what you are and what you can do and what you know.
Fantastic. Thank you. What needs to happen for venture companies to employ more women venture capitalists? Maybe just take your advice.
So I think that the venture industry is, relative to other industries, still not a huge one. So there aren't that many opportunities in partnerships. And the way to really become a partner is to know the people in that partnership. Just like we are loath to invest in companies where we don't know the team or don't know the people. You like to bring a partner on board because it is a partnership whom you have some track record with, whom you know. So building a relationship with a venture capital firm is important. One of the ways to do that, of course, is to come up through the portfolio, having led a company. So I think as you see more women in the broader industry, more women starting companies, founding companies, leading companies, then you'll see more women come into venture capital. One great way to do this is if you have been involved in a company and you're fortunate enough to get an exit, is to join a firm as an EIR, for example, and then you get a chance to see more companies, see how a venture capital firm works, and get a sense if it really is the right sort of opportunity for you.
Fantastic.
But build relationships with those venture capitalists.
Brilliant. From your experience, what are the qualities and experience that are necessary to be a woman venture capitalist? And again, you've been very thorough and covered a lot of that. Is there anything extra that you'd like to add about those qualities and level of experience that you'd need?
Well, I think to be a successful venture capitalist, and it's a tough industry actually, because you're investing in a few deals, so you have to be very careful about those deals that you do invest in and bring the right people to help you along the way. So certainly you need to be entrepreneurial and to love technology or to love new areas of business. So to really have a passion for that is really important. You need to be very good about networking. You need to be able to sell yourselves, to seek out deals. Deal flow is really key to the success of being a venture capitalist. And then you really need to be able to assess a deal, analyze a deal, so bring those analytical skills together to invest in the appropriate companies, obviously leveraging your partnership as well. But I do think you need to be a sort of fairly resilient person. You need to be a fairly outgoing person, a confident person, because you do have to make some fairly significant decisions along the way, obviously investment decisions, and then as a board member you're making decisions about the team, the CEO, helping to direct the strategy and those types of things. So you really have to have a certain sort of confidence and to be a very sort of I think, a very well-rounded person. And so again, I do think having some sort of domain expertise is really, really helpful.
Good base, thank you. What's the key from your experience to bridge the gender gap with male venture capitalists, both for women venture capitalists and women entrepreneurs? If you see any gender gap, it doesn't sound like you've really experienced a big gender gap.
Well, you know, I certainly see a little more of a gender gap in venture capital and in the startup world than I saw in the corporate world.
Okay.
So I think if you look around, even though there are not so many female CEOs as we would like, or as many board members, I do think, you know, up to a certain level in the corporate world, we see more executives who are female. And sometimes I think that you don't see more people at the CEO level, is that those women choose not to take those roles for a whole variety of reasons, and often it's a life balance. But you see more women there.
Okay.
But we should see more women in this industry. And I do think that the opportunities are there. Certainly nobody is saying we don't want women to start companies, we don't want women as venture capitalists.
Which is good news.
I think it's really sort of getting women to feel the confidence that they can go out and build companies. And in certain sectors we've seen that. We've seen some very successful women in the internet sector, for example, and maybe women feel more comfortable with that. So really sort of applying what they know to the internet world, I think that's a really interesting sector where we're seeing more women.
Yes.
I think we see less women in certain sectors, semiconductors for example. Maybe it's not an area of interest, but I certainly think that we are seeing more women. I think women are really grasping what the internet can do in terms of opening up new opportunities, whether it's e-commerce, gaming, entertainment, those sorts of sectors. And you know, I would just encourage women to really go out and build a strong team around them, because I do think women like to work as part of a team. And so I think if you can be part of a great team, then you'll see more women entrepreneurs coming forward.
Brilliant, brilliant. Look, thank you so much, Janice, for your contribution today, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you.